Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Terry and welcome to my channel, English with Terry. I have another cool job interview English video for you guys, a very special grammar video to help you in your job interviews. But also if you're interested in grammar, I want to talk about the difference between I worked, I have worked, and I have been working. Now, this is a two-part video. So in this first video, I want to talk about the difference between I have worked and I have been working. Okay, if you are interested in job interviews and special preparation, then you can check out the free job interview essential phrases video training. You can see in the link just below in the description. You can go check it out. It's completely free. Has 15 essential job interview phrases that you will use again and again for your interviews. But anyway, that's in the link in the description below. Don't miss it. Okay, now let's get started with the video. So the subject of this video in part 1 and part 2 is to talk about the exact differences in English between I worked, I have worked, and I have been working. Now, in terms of grammar, the names I worked is past simple, I have worked is present perfect simple, and I have been working is present perfect continuous. Now, these are just the names if you want to know. In this video, let's start with the difference between I have worked and I have been working. Because sometimes I have been working does not exist in other languages or the translation is difficult, okay? So let's start with the first point. English has two kinds of verbs. It has kind of be verbs and modal verbs, which use not in the negative, okay? Like I am not, I cannot, I will not. And then do verbs, which use do, does, or did in questions and negative, okay? Now, if we look here with the verb have, I have worked, I have been working, the verb to have is a little bit special. Now, what I mean is, sometimes it can be a main verb, like with don't, doesn't, and didn't, and sometimes it can be an auxiliary verb with the have not been, etc. So if we just take simple phrases here, for example, I have time today and I have done it before. Because maybe you have heard the idea of main verb and auxiliary verb, and maybe it's not so clear. So let's make it really, really simple. When we look at this sentence, I have time today, I have done it before. What kind of word is time and what kind of word is done? Very simple question, okay? Time is a noun or a thing, and done is a verb, or we call it past participle, all right? That simple difference. When I say I have time, okay, what's after have? Time is a noun or a thing, and done is a verb, right? That's that first crucial difference. Because when we have the verbs in English, we have the present tense, we have the past simple, and then the past participle, okay? And with the present perfect, we use the last one, the past participle, after the verb. Now, when we look here at have and noun, if we look very carefully, you can see I have time. Time is a noun. Negative is I don't have time. And the question is, do I have time? All right? Now, look closely what happens when we have and a verb. You have done it, you have not done it, and have you done it? So you can observe very clearly that when have is a main verb with a noun, you will see don't, or do, or does, or did, or whatever. But when you're using it in the idea of present perfect, have and a verb, look in the negative, you can see we use not. And with a question, we change the word order, all right? That's the first fundamental point about the present perfect you really need to understand. Because if we have the present perfect simple, we can say I, you, we, they have been, seen, gone, done, right? They're just the past participle. He, she, it has, okay? So you've got I, you, we, they have. He, she, it has. And if it goes into the negative, you can say I have not been, you have not seen, And have not will contract to haven't. All right? Again, the same thing happens with he, she, or it. Has not to hasn't. And then if we ask questions, you will change the word order. Have I been? Have we seen? Have they gone? Okay? And the same thing with has. Now, with the present perfect continuous, just to show you, is that we will have, I, you, we, they, have been, and the verb and ing. Okay? Now, the verb and ing is extremely important. The number one mistake is people forget the ing. For example, I have been working. A lot of students make the mistake to say, I have been work. And this is incorrect. Careful, all right? He, she, it has been working, traveling, studying, or living. And then I, you, we, they have not been, verb and ing. And with he, she, it has not been working, traveling. Okay? So that's the basic idea of how it works in the verb. Now let's compare, for example, side by side. I have worked here for 6 months and I have been working here for 6 months. So you've got two sentences which are extremely similar in meaning, almost the same. But if you can see the 30%, I have worked here for 6 months, and I have been working here for 6 months, 70%. Now, they are not official statistics. They are just my observation that in this case, what you will see is they have the same basic meaning, but native speakers prefer the present perfect continuous. I have been working here for 6 months. He has been working here for 2 years is more common than he has worked here for 2 years. So let's look in depth at the meaning and how it works. Because we've got the present perfect simple and continuous. And we can see they are very similar but not exactly the same. Now, for example, the big idea with the present perfect, one of two fundamental ideas, is that an action that started in the past and continues now. Okay? Let me give you an example. We have a simple action that started in the past and continues now. So, I have been working online since May 2017. So you can see I'm recording this video, I'm going to edit and publish, so I'm still working online. I'm working online right now. So in May 2017, I started to work completely online. So that started, I officially opened my business, I think 3 months later, officially with the Irish government. And you can see how that in May, it started to work online, and now I continue to work online. So when I say an action that started in the past and continues now, this is what I mean. So it's possible to say I have worked online for 4 years. I have been working online for 4 years. Do you remember which one is more common with native speakers? Because we can say something started in the past and continues now. Another example is I have been working at PayPal for 2 years. I have worked at PayPal for 2 years. It's the same basic concept that 2 years ago you started to work, it continues now. It continues today. And if you're using the present perfect, it's true now. Okay? So this is why I put the percentage of 70%. It's much more common to hear a native speaker saying, I have been working at PayPal for 2 years. But it's also possible, also correct to say, I have worked at PayPal for 2 years. Another example is I have been working here for 6 months. I have worked here for 6 months. Both possible, both mean the same thing, but I have been working, the present perfect continuous. Native speakers prefer this in speaking. Now, what's really, really important and why this is difficult for other people to learn this is if we look at these sentences here, the first sentence, which are all incorrect. I work here since 2 years. Since 2 years, I am working here. I am working here 2 years. This all happens when you are translating directly from your language into English. Because in the majority of other languages, in fact, almost all the other languages I speak, you can just use the present simple, the present tense to talk about duration. If it is like I remember I had a student before and he told me, I am practicing karate since I was 5 years old. Because for him, in his language, it made perfect sense. But to use the present tense, to express this idea in English is completely incorrect. This is why we'll use I have worked or I have been working. To simply say I work here since 2 years or I am working here since 2 years, yes, the other person will understand it's not correct. And you are probably translating directly. Some students are shocked when I tell them that, no, this is not correct. This is how you say this in your language, but in English, it's not correct. And that is the most important part of this video. If you can understand this concept and you can see that in your language, you probably just use the present simple or present continuous and since or some other word in your language, but this is not correct in English. I have been working here for 6 months. I have worked here for 6 months. If the present perfect continuous is a little bit difficult, I recommend just writing basic sentences about yourself. Where are you working? Where are you living? How long have you been working there? How long have you been living there? But just literally write it and then start to train the speaking. If it doesn't feel natural to say, I have been working, just train and just practice a little bit. So that's the end of part 1, the difference between I have worked and I have been working. Join me in part 2 when I'm going to talk about the difference between I worked and I have worked, a really important difference. But don't forget the free Essential Job Interview Phrases training video, which you can see in the link below. Just click that link. Leave your name and email. It's free, completely free for my email subscribers, and it's a really, really cool training. It gives you all like the best interview phrases you can use again and again and again. Okay? Thanks so much for watching, guys. Please click like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in part 2.